All right, let's take a look at addition and subtraction with fractions. So addition and subtraction with fractions can be really easy if the fractions you're working with have the same denominators. Like let's take a look at this top example here, 3 over 7 plus 2 over 7. Well, if you have 3/7 on one side and you're adding 2/7 to it on the other, that's pretty easy, right? You're ending up with 5/7 because you are denominated in the same thing, sevenths, right? So you just keep the denominator and add the numerators together, get 5 over 7, right? Same with subtraction. If we look down here, we have 10 over 13 minus 4 over 13. Well, if we have 10 thirteenths and then we take away 4 thirteenths, right? That just means we have 10 minus 4 thirteenths, right? Because the denominator is the same. We're denominating our units in the same thing, right? So it's real easy if you're adding and subtracting fractions with the same denominator. You just keep the denominator and either add or subtract the numerators. Now let's take a look at a case where we might have different different denominators. So let's say we had something like say 7 over, let's say 4 plus 3 over 2. 7 over 4 plus 3 over 2. Now this isn't as straightforward because this is kind of like if we ask, well, what if I have $7 in one hand and then 3 euros in another hand? And if you wanted to ask how much money you have in total, right, you can't immediately give an answer because we're talking about different denominations, right? We have to make sure they're converted to the same sort of measurement. Well, denominators are kind of like that, right? So we have fourths on the left of the addition sign and halves on the right of the addition sign. So we want to convert one of these fractions so that it has the same denominator. So let's take this 3 over 2. It's actually going to be really easy to turn this into a fraction that has 4 as its denominator, right? Because we can take 3 over 2, and well, if we multiply this numerator, this denominator by 2, it'll equal 4, and then if we do the same thing to the numerator, we'll have 6 over 4, and remember we can do this because if you multiply the numerator and the denominator by any number, you get an equivalent fraction. So 3 over 2 is the exact same thing now as 6 over 4. So this problem is the same as 7 over 4 plus 6 over 4. And now this is easy, right? We're dealing with two objects denominated in fourths, right? So if we have 7/4 on one hand and 6/4 on the other, that just equals 7 plus 6 fourths, right? Or in this case, 13 over 4. Now you can always solve any fraction, addition, or subtraction problem by finding common denominators, but I do want to show you the cross multiplication method because I think it's a real helpful method that is always going to get you the right answer, and it's easy to use, so it should give you confidence in adding and subtracting fractions. Here's how it works. It's how you can deal with a case where you have non-common denominators, right? So here's what you do. Your answer is going to be found like so. Your new denominator, or the denominator of your answer, is going to be your two original denominators multiplied together. So our new denominator is 2 times 7. To find your numerator, you cross multiply. Here's what cross multiply means. You start from the bottom right and you cross multiply up to the top left. And your first part of the numerator is 7 times 5. You keep whatever operation you were doing in the first place, in this case addition, plus, then you cross multiply the other way from the bottom left to the top right. We get plus 2 times 3. Then you just complete your arithmetic. 7 times 5 is 35, plus 2 times 3 is 6, over 2 times 7 is 14. All right, 35 plus 6 is 41 over 14. And there's your answer. At this point, you will want to stop and think, okay, do the numerator and denominator have any common factors? In this case, 41 and 14 do not have any common factors, so this would be the final answer. Fraction works really the exact same way. Let's say we had, say, 10 over 11, let's say minus 3 over 2. 10 over 11 minus 3 over 2. All right, and we're actually going to get a little bit of negative number practice in with this example also. So what do? You do this the same way as we did with addition. We find our new denominator by multiplying the two denominators we started with. Then we're going to cross multiply, start from the bottom right and cross multiply to the top left. It's going to be 2 times 10. Keep the operation, in this case it was subtraction, and then cross multiply in the other direction from the bottom left to the top right. We're going to get 11 times 3 there. All right, now you just do your arithmetic. 2 times 10 is 20, minus 11 times 3 is 33, over 11 times 2 is 22, and 20 minus 13, hopefully we remember from our negative numbers, addition and subtraction, is, well, let's just take the time to explain that step. 20 minus 30 is definitely going to be a negative number, right? So we'll put our negative sign. And how do we figure out what number should come after that negative sign? We're going to take our bigger absolute value, 33, and subtract our smaller absolute value, 20. And we know that we're over 22 here. And 33 minus 20 is 13. Keep the negative sign, so our numerator is negative 13. Denominator is 22. These do not have any common factors. Negative 13 over 22 is our answer. Let's look at 2 more examples of addition and subtraction here. Let's take a look at, what if we had negative 4 over 3, let's say minus negative 1/2, just to throw in some more examples with negatives. So negative 4 over 3, that just stays negative 4 over 3, right? Now let's remember our properties of negative numbers. Subtracting a negative number is exactly like adding a positive number, right? So minus negative 1/2 is the same as plus 1/2, right? Okay, so now from here we can do a cross multiplication. And when you're doing your cross multiplication and your first number is a negative, here's how you want to treat that. You want to treat that as if that negative is applied to the numerator. All right, that's going to make this operation a lot easier. It's going to keep you from getting confused anywhere. Treat that negative that's in front of your fraction if you're cross multiplying. Treat that negative as specifically applying to the numerator. Okay, and here's what we want to do. We know our method. We're going to take our denominators and multiply them together. 3 times 2. Then we're going to cross multiply from the bottom right to the top left. And we're going to have 2 times negative 4, right? 2 times negative 4. Keep the operation, which is addition. Then cross multiply in the other direction. 3 times 1. Then we'll do our arithmetic. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. Plus 3 times 1 is 3. Over 3 times 2 is 6. Negative 8 plus 3 is negative 5. Keep our denominator 6. And our answer is negative 5 over 6, and that is in simplified form. All right, so that's how you deal with an example like this. Let's take a look at one more example. Okay, let's think. What would be a good example? Let's do negative 12 over 5. Let's say minus, actually let's say plus negative 3 over 7, just to practice an example like this. Negative 12 over 5 plus negative 3 over 7. Let's remember our rules of adding with negative numbers. This is nothing but 12 over 5 minus 3 over 7. Adding a negative is the same as subtracting. All right, let's now rewrite our first fraction with that negative specifically applied to the numerator. So we have negative 12 over 5 minus 3 over 7. Right, now we'll cross multiply to find our denominator. We'll multiply our original denominators, 5 times 7. Then we'll cross multiply going from the bottom right to the top left. We'll have 7 times negative 12 is our negative. We'll keep our subtraction operation and cross multiply from the other side, 5 times 3. All right, so now let's do our arithmetic. 7 times negative 12, that's negative 84, right? Let me double check that. Negative 84, yep. Minus 5 times 3 is minus 15. Over 5 times 7 is 35. All right, let's remember how we what we do if we're starting with a negative number and then subtracting. It's exactly like the opposite of adding the numbers, right? Hopefully we remember that. So this is nothing but negative 84 plus 15, still over 35. 84 plus 15 is 99, right? So our answer is negative 99 over 35, and that is in simplified form.